Romans 16. Cheers. Luck continued their journey, which involved a brief layover in the colonizers' lands before reaching their final destination. Upon arrival, they made transportation arrangements to take them to the vacation accommodation they had booked for the upcoming weeks. After checking in and settling into their room, which was conveniently located behind a local restaurant, Luck decided to satisfy their hunger by dining at this restaurant. They enjoyed their first meal and then set out to re-explore the area, hoping to reconnect with some of their old traveling friends. As expected, Luck found their first old friend at their usual hangout, a local entertainment facility. They enjoyed a beverage together and caught up on their respective journeys and experiences. Continuing their search for old friends, Luck headed towards the beach and, as expected, found another acquaintance in their usual spot. Again, they engaged in a conversation about their experiences and adventures since they had last met. Continuing their stroll along the beach, Luck stopped for another beverage, this time with another fellow traveler. They appreciated the serene setting of this beach facility with its beautiful view, pristine sand, and crystal clear sea. Nothing unusual happened to Luck over the next 2 months. They settled into a comfortable routine and extended their stay at the original booking to cover the entire period. Each day, they made their way to the beach facility, where they could soak in the beautiful scenery and environment. Luck also cherished their daily conversations with the traveling friend who worked there during the peak summer season. On this seemingly ordinary day, Luck decided to alter their breakfast routine and ordered scrambled eggs along with freshly squeezed orange juice at their favorite beachside cafe. This was a break from their usual choices. Arriving a bit earlier than usual, their familiar traveling friend hadn't yet shown up. Little did Luck know, this seemingly small change in their routine would mark the beginning of a chilling and unexpected adventure. However, fate had a different plan for Luck, and its beginning unfolded right here in this serene setting. One morning, Luck awoke with the usual intentions of following their daily routine, heading down to the beach for their breakfast. On this particular day, they opted for a plate of scrambled eggs and a refreshing glass of orange juice. This routine was a common occurrence and stated Luck was a regular visitor to the beachside eatery. However, on this morning, they arrived slightly earlier than their usual time, and their familiar traveling friend had not yet arrived. The food and drink arrived promptly. As Luck savored their meal, a sense of unease gradually overcame them. It was a familiar feeling, one they had encountered before, akin to the sensations experienced during their last flight home. Their body began to respond strangely, much like when they had that peculiar rush the passenger referenced before. Luck stood up from their table, knowing they needed to return to their accommodation to assess the situation further. As they glanced around, they spotted their friend, who had just arrived at the beachside spot. On that day, Luck engaged in a minimal conversation with their friend. The friend, sensing something was amiss, asked if Luck was feeling okay. In response, Luck admitted that they weren't, though they didn't delve into the specifics of their condition. Feeling increasingly unwell, Luck returned to their accommodation, stopping only to ensure they had enough liquid to drink for the rest of that day. On arriving back at their abode, they gradually began to feel worse, knowing that something had changed, that something they had ingested had been compromised. Concerned about their health, they made the decision to leave the current environment and return to their motherland as soon as possible. They believed seeking medical attention and undergoing the necessary checks there would be the best course of action. Luck opened their device and quickly checked for the next available flight, finding an affordable option for the following day, and promptly booked it. They began packing their belongings, making sure they were prepared to leave in case their condition escalated. That evening, Luck felt well enough to inform their vacation host that they would be leaving the next day. They also made a short walk to say goodbye to their fellow traveler, who was unaware of Luck's condition and blind to the day's incident. Despite feeling intoxicated, Luck did not explain this to anyone nearby and kept it to themselves. As the hours wore on, Luck began to feel more and more of the same effects as the previous episode. They tried but could barely sleep that night, tossing and turning, sweating through the hours. The morning and departure time could not come fast enough. Constantly, we leave out any toy inventions during this time because, in reality, that is unimportant. What is essential is the others that were there. Did a few no more? In our eyes, Some must have known if my experience was genuine, even from within the hotel. Others could have found the information accidentally or were just a target for no other reason. A few days later, one journey ended in much more dire circumstances than ours. However, we have yet to learn the whole truth here, nor does anyone we have spoken with about this since. Perhaps only a tragic coincidence. Romans 17. Now, punk kid. The morning arrived, and Luck waited patiently for their departure time to check out of the vacation premises and commute to the local airport. During this time, Luck decided it would be a good idea to contact their relatives to explain the ongoing situation and let them know that they were coming back to their motherland. On contact with their close relative, who owns the home they wanted to relocate back to, they were informed that they should stay in a hotel first for a couple of days as the global pandemic was escalating again. This way, Luck could isolate for a few days before heading back to that location. Luck agreed, but also asked that their relative come to them that evening to be taken to the local hospital for a checkup, as they still very much felt intoxicated. Luck quickly booked a vacation room for a few days in a settlement next to their own. When the time came for departure, Luck bid farewell to their hosts and made their way to the airport using the prearranged local transportation. At the airport, they checked in and donned a face covering for both protection and to hide the involuntary mouth movements, which were a side effect of their intoxication. Luck managed to navigate through all the customs checks with ease and proceeded directly to their gate, determined not to repeat the rushed experience from their previous trip home to their motherland. During this time, Luck remained in a hyper-alert state, acutely aware of their surroundings and vigilant for anything unusual. The flight departure time arrived, and Luck boarded the vessel promptly. They were seated in the middle of the aircraft, in a central seat with an empty seat between them and the passenger by the window. Luck avoided engaging in any conversation with their fellow passenger, staying intensely focused on the surroundings within the aircraft and their determination to reach their final destination without any further unfortunate events. The flight departed, and while it was relatively uneventful, there was no in-flight entertainment on this short-haul flight. Luck spent the journey in silence, contemplating the sensations in their body, their upcoming transportation to the next location, and why they found themselves in such a situation once more. As the flight was preparing to land, Luck decided it was a good idea to change into warmer clothes from their carry-on luggage. While they were putting on their shoes, a fellow passenger walked past and made a comment, saying, "You're not a punk, kid." Luck looked up in surprise, recognizing the reference. It seemed that they had a shared interest in music, particularly a genre that Luck occasionally listened to in private. As scheduled, the flight landed at the same destination where Luck at last left their motherland. They still felt a heightened sense of awareness as they disembarked from the aircraft. Luck wore their mask tightly until the border officer needed to verify their identity, after which they proceeded to the baggage collection area. After receiving their bag, the voices within Luck returned. This time, they suggested that their bag had been contaminated during the journey and that they must be careful passing through the next stage of security. Although puzzled, Luck followed some of this advice for their own safety. They passed around the scanners and proceeded into the airport lobby. Luck had decided to travel by rail for the next part of their journey since there was a direct link to their next destination. They walked to the station, which was conveniently located nearby. Luck purchased a ticket from one of the machines and boarded the next vessel heading in that direction. The journey took about 45 minutes, and after disembarking from the rail, Luck arranged for private transportation to the vacation property they had booked earlier in the day. They checked in and then informed their relative that they had arrived safely. A few hours later, the relative arrived at the property and drove them to the local health center. Luck's state had become more and more elevated, and they were convinced that something they had consumed had been contaminated. They needed clarification on what substance it might have been. Luck entered the emergency section of the center and asked if they could have a narcotics test, briefly explaining their situation that day. The professional was hesitant, especially after looking at their health report. However, after Luck remained persistent, even showing them some of the physical symptoms they were experiencing, the professional then agreed to conduct a narcotics test. Luck was then taken into the next ward, and the professional said they would take their blood and test it. Luck, not being a health professional, agreed, and after a few moments, had completed that task, they were informed that they would not get instant results and would be contacted after the testing was complete. Luck left the health center, hoping that the final test results would provide some evidence to support their claims and finally convince others of the truth of their situation. Luck walked into the car park, calling their relative to inform them they had finished and could now be collected. Their relative then drove Luck back to their residence for the next few days. Luck thanked the relative for helping them and then said their short farewells. Luck returned to their room, feeling exhausted and anxious about the test results. They hoped that some answers would come soon, allowing them to put this mysterious ordeal behind them. With that in mind, they tried to get some much-needed rest. We would never receive the results of that test. We even wonder why that test was given when there are other methods. The last of the dreamers, Roman 18. Mind readers, on the first night back in their motherland, Luck was able to sleep. However, it was only for broken intervals. They were tormented by restless sleep, often tossing and turning, full of strange dreams that blurred the lines between reality and fiction. These dreams left them feeling disoriented and uneasy upon waking, as if they were trapped in a world not of their own making. Luck remained in their room for much of that next day, only going out briefly into the garden of the property to breathe some fresh air. During all these outings and throughout the nights and days, they were plagued by the relentless chatter of the voices inside their mind. Some conversations were surprisingly intellectual, while others descended into disturbing and humiliating torment. This internal struggle continued to erode Luck's sense of reality and well-being. During one of their afternoon outings to the garden, Luck's already turbulent reality took a bizarre twist. To their left, they observed a room filled with beings who appeared to be in a deep trance, making intricate hand movements. It was as if they were attempting to harness telekinetic powers. While this sight might have seemed like something out of science fiction, Luck couldn't help but interpret it through their own lens of experience. Further deepening the mystery surrounding them, Luck briefly entertained the idea that what they were witnessing might be real. They grappled with the notion that the voices and thoughts they experienced could somehow be manipulated or influenced by others, even to the extent of a room full of mind readers or manipulators working in secret. However, they ultimately dismissed this theory, finding it difficult to reconcile with their understanding of reality and the lack of public knowledge regarding such extraordinary abilities. With these thoughts in mind, Luck returned to their room. On that evening, Luck decided to leave their residence for the first time during their stay. Their objective was to visit a local store and gather supplies that would sustain them during the nights ahead. They completed this task and then returned to their room. During the following 2 days, Luck described their mental state as relatively stable. They continued to communicate with invisible beings and experienced visual hallucinations when they closed their eyes. However, on the last night, they had an exceptionally vivid visualization involving a character named Stifo, whom we will delve into further in the story. Luck had a vision in which they visualized Stifo and their crew arriving in their motherland and infiltrating the same premises where Luck was staying. In the dream, while Luck was asleep, Stifo hypnotized or possessed them and compelled them to perform various actions, including ingesting a package of narcotics. This recurring dream would continue to haunt Luck over the next week. Luck experienced a series of visions, visualizations, and voices over these 3 days that they could describe in detail. However, they choose to summarize their overall experience during this time simply as mind torture. On the final morning of their planned stay, Luck awoke early and was eager to leave the premises. Their main focus was returning to somewhere they thought would be safer for them. It was early morning, but Luck was able to arrange private transportation to take them on the short journey home. The driver arrived promptly, and they set out on their way. The journey was around half an hour, but Luck had little conversation with the driver. As scheduled, they arrived back at their destination, paid the driver in local currency, and entered their home. Luck's relatives were surprised to see them back at that time, but greeted them all the same. Luck explained that they had not had the best of stays at the vacation premises and still needed more sleep, so they apologized and retreated into their room. To their delight, their mind finally felt at peace upon entering the room. The voices had subsided for now, and Luck slept. We talk about dreams as visualizations and visions, and we will continue to talk you through some of those experiences. However, not all, as there are many like the one we mention here, which are simply there to throw you and us off the truth. We promise to speak only the truth and nothing but the truth. Roman 19. Unsafe space, Roman 2. Luck